The question that's been on everybody's lips over the last 3 or 4 weeks is, how have I been getting on with my Franklin Planner experiment? Well, maybe not on everybody's lips, but today I'm going to give you an update as we're coming toward the end of my 3-month experiment, and something rather interesting happened round about 2 weeks ago. Something quite significant changed. For some reason, and I don't understand why, I started using my Franklin Planner like proper and fully. Now, for the first 2 months, it felt like I was playing with it. It's a great planning tool. It's wonderful to pick this up at the end of the day and take it into the living room and do my planning for the next day. That was brilliant. I did that from day one. But what changed was suddenly I found that I was actually referring to this pretty much every time I was between a session of work. Now, this actually comes back to something that I have spoken about many times on this channel, which is the dangers of app switching. If you're constantly switching your apps or tools or systems, you actually forget that it takes time to trust the system that you're using. Now, in my case, it's taken me 2 months, probably a little bit more, to fully trust that the Franklin Planner system works for me. Before that, what I was doing was Todoist was my backup, and I was still referring to Todoist 3 or 4 times a day just to make sure I hadn't forgotten anything. But something changed on the 1st of December, and as I look back through my entries now, I've noticed that my entries are showing that I started adding a lot more detail into my Franklin Planner, and I was kind of planning my day properly. Now, that's quite a contrast to what things looked like in November, which was the previous month, where, yeah, I was writing stuff down, but it was sort of like just the interesting stuff that I wasn't going to likely to forget anyway, because as I say, there was a trust issue. I didn't fully trust the system. But suddenly, as I say, on the 1st of December, that changed. It was like, okay, I trust that this works. While I'm not carrying it with me everywhere I go, when I do go out in the car to take Louis for a walk or go to the supermarket or go to a store to pick something up, I'm going there with a purpose. If I need to collect something while I'm out and about, I'm just going to pick it up on my phone and just start adding that item directly into Todoist. Todoist is there, and I'll explain in a moment why Todoist is still an essential part of my day. As you probably will be aware, there are certain tasks that we have to do on a daily, weekly or monthly basis that just reoccur. So for example, paying my credit card bills or paying the car lease or any other like the house rent or anything else like that, they come up on certain days in the month and they get paid. Now, I already have the reminders for that in Apple Reminders. I use Apple Reminders as what GTD would call a tickler file. So it pops up with a notification to tell me today you need, or actually I do it the day before. So it's like tomorrow you need to pay your car lease, you need to pay the credit card. That just means I've got time to make sure there's enough money in the right account. But likewise with some of my like day-to-day admin tasks and stuff like that, stuff that just recurs every single day, that is going to be in Todoist. It just makes sense. It means I don't have to write those out every day. But what it also means is I'm really only looking at Todoist at the end of the day to make sure, okay, what are my routinal admin tasks that I need to do? Now, I have an admin hour at the end of the day. So that could be, sometimes it's before dinner, sometimes it's after dinner. It depends on how much time I've got in the day. But I know from experience that if I don't protect an hour a day for doing admin, then admin is going to start backlogging because I'll forget to do it, or I won't do it today, I'll do it tomorrow. Well, now I've got double the amount of admin to do. So I've already learned from experience that it's vital to protect an hour for my administration. Similarly, it's also important to protect an hour for communications each day, because once again, if I'm not doing it each day, if I'm not following that process each day, then backlogs are going to build and now I've just ruined my weekend. Don't really want that. If I can spend 30, 40, 50 minutes a day doing my communications, I will always be on top of it. And that requires me to protect the time on my calendar to do that. Now that's what Todoist and my digital calendar is for. Likewise, most of my coaching clients, in fact, all of my coaching clients schedule coaching calls through my scheduling service. Well, it's pointless me putting that into my monthly calendar of Todoist because it's constantly changing. So I'll be constantly crossing these things out, which doesn't make sense. However, what I do on a daily basis is something that really is built into the Franklin Planner system. So each evening when I sit down on my sofa in the living room, so I'm out of the office, I like to go and I will write in my appointments for the day. That's the first thing I do. In the appointment schedule area, I write in my appointments for the day. That then tells me how much time I have available for doing tasks. Now, I'm a seasoned time blocker. I block time for doing my creative work. So I always protect 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. for doing my creative work. That's when I'm at my most creative. I've tested and tested and tested that. I know that 9:30 to 11:30, that is when I'm going to be the most awake, my brain is fresh, and I'm going to be my most focused and creative. So that's when I do my creative time. But aside from that, I will also put in my appointments for the day. Now, my appointments are either early in the morning or late at night, so that's fairly straightforward. But then I have a clear picture of what my day looks like, and it can tell me then how much time I have left for doing tasks. Then I start to write out the tasks that I've done, that I'm planning to do today. Now you're looking at my day today, and I don't have any calls today. I'm actually theoretically on vacation now, the end of year vacation, the Christmas vacation. But I'm still doing work this week. So you'll see from my list here that I've actually got several tasks, probably more, maybe about 10 tasks already written down there. I've had a good start to the day because I've done 4 of them already. But the great thing about this is I've done my writing time. I'm now doing my recording time in the block. And then the rest of the days I've kept it free because there's a few other things that I need to do. I need to write my coaching feedback. I need to do my social media stuff, reply to my emails. I don't need to put that into my calendar because I know today, particularly, I've got time protected for that. But this now gives me a very, very clear view of my day. It's not overwhelming. It's clearly doable, and I'm good to go. Now what you'll also notice is I've drawn a line under the tasks above that line. Now that's something that I picked up from the Franklin Planner training video, which I will put a link to it below. It's just a brilliant video if you want to go down the Franklin Planner road. Anything new that comes up, I can quickly write that down below that line. Now, I might not do it today, and in which case I'm not going to put an A or a B or a C categorization there. I'm just going to use it as a random inbox, stuff that, oh yeah, I need to remember to do this, so I'll write that down. Get that into the system, and then I'm good to go. Because at the end of the day, when I come back to doing my planning, I can then look at that and then schedule those for the next day or the day after. And I start putting tasks in when I know they're going to be done. So that's why I've been using that, and it's superb because it means now I've got that trust that I haven't forgotten anything. Now, as I mentioned, when I'm out and about with Louis or taking him for a walk, or when I'm at the supermarket and I have an idea, yeah, it's just going to go straight into Todoist on the digital system. I do still look at my Todoist inbox every day to make sure that I've got everything that I've collected that day. I know what it is and I know when I'm going to do it. But the Franklin Planner is just brilliant for planning out your day. So after the last video that I did updating you, I was asked about how do I manage the notes and the ideas that I collect, and how do I keep track of those? Well, I just follow the prescribed Franklin Planner system, and that is each one is numbered. So I number the item and there is a date. So therefore I have a reference point. That then goes into the index, which is at the front. Now I'm very careful here. I make sure the index is put on the calendar section, not the additional, because you get another sheet for that. But I put it on the calendar section. I've got it there and I can reference that at any time. I know where that is. So I'm using the brackets or parentheses, as American English is. I'm using the brackets to tell me a note, but quite often the notes that I'm collecting just are quite simple notes. I think, oh yeah, there's one here that I did because I was thinking about Evernote versus Apple Notes, and I just made a few notes about that. I just put that down in here, and that was just something that I just had a random thought. Now that hasn't been indexed yet, but I will index it and I'll just highlight the word Evernote and just thoughts on Evernote so that it's very quick to find them at a later date. Now I do also have the storage binder. That's on my bookshelf. I've ordered another one for 2026. So it's going to start building up a nice storage binder. And I always do my planning at my desk right there in the morning. So if I need to reference something, it's going to be there. And if I do need to reference it, my office is just across the hallway from the living room. So I can come back to that and get the storage box, the storage binder, and get the stuff. So that has now left me with a bit of a dilemma. The dilemma is that I have thoroughly enjoyed this experiment. And theoretically, in 2 weeks' time, exactly 2 weeks today, my experiment comes to an end. So will I continue using the Franklin Planner? I actually think I will. And the biggest reason for that is it's helped me to feel like I'm back in touch with my life. Now, when everything's digital, it's just it's like a blur of text on a screen. And that, I think, has just made me feel a little bit out of touch with what's going on in my life. It's just all digital. Here, that intentionality of sitting down on the sofa before I do anything else at the end of the day, planning out the next day, deciding when I'm going to do stuff, looking at my schedule for the day, making sure I've got enough time for everything, reviewing the notes that I've made that day to see if I've missed anything. It's meant that I now actually feel completely on top of everything. I know where my backlogs are. We all have them. I know what issues need to be dealt with because I've written them down. If I haven't put them into the to-do list, I've actually written it down in the notes, and I can see that. And I can then, in that moment of quiet at the end of the day where my phone isn't beeping, there's no notifications, I can then decide dispassionately when I can deal with that issue. And if I can't deal with it right now or tomorrow, at least I've got an opportunity to send a message or an email and say, look, I have not got time to deal with this tomorrow. It's going to have to be on Friday or Monday or Tuesday. What's the worst that could happen? Say, no, you must sort it out today. Fine, okay, the decision's made for me. It must be sorted out today. But I'm going to give it a try and see if I can negotiate some time here. And that's what the Franklin Planner has done. It's given me a clear, realistic picture of the day because this is where it is. It's all there. It's one day. And I can see what my day looks like. And that sense of overwhelm and that sense of stress that you see, oh, I've got all this stuff to do. Because this is forcing you to be realistic. This is why I'm now really in a dilemma. I haven't made the decision yet, but I am in a real dilemma of, will I continue this going into the new year? I'm about 75% sure I will do, just simply because of that sense of being in control and that sense of I am now controlling my life. And it's just wonderful to be able to look back and say, yep, I've had a productive day. There's a daily tracker in the section. I'm using the Montecito pages. I have gone back to those for those of you who've been following this. The leadership pages are just way too colorful for me and it was just distracting. I must have some form of OCD, I think. I've gone back to this Monticello paper. It's not great for fountain pens, but I'm using my Lamy 2000 with the Diamine Prussian blue ink, and that actually seems to be fine on this paper. So I'm sticking with that. This has been a lot better. It's less distracting, but it also gives me the daily tracker. So I'm anything that, like if I send money to my wife or I send money to a different account, I can make a quick record of it in this section. And it's quite nice knowing that I can go back saying, oh yeah, I sent the money, I paid my video editor, I paid my marketing manager. I can see what I've done. And if anyone ever comes, oh, did you send me that money? I've got it right there. I can just quickly go through the page and say, yep, I paid you on the 13th, and it's all gone through. So there you go. There's a lot about this that I love. I'm using the goals section now for my goals for 2025. That's been a really great thing because I've just been throwing notes in there, and now it's all coming together. Yeah, I can't see myself stopping using my Franklin Planner going into 2025. It's been a revelation. It's been wonderful. Will it work forever? I don't know. Todoist will stay there in the background. I will still continue to use Evernote and I will still continue to use a digital calendar, but they are more for backup now. This is where I'm doing the real planning, because that sense of being back in touch with my life, that's the thing that I just can't beat. The Franklin Planner does it all. So if you want to learn more about my Franklin Planner experiment, the last video I did is up here. I've also done a few other videos on the Franklin Planner this year, and I'll put those in the information below so you can go back and look at those. Just remains for me now to wish you all a very, very productive week.